Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back again with another tier list for you guys today. And today we're going to be ranking all of the Epic 7 5-star RGB heroes for PvP. Now this tier list is going to encompass all of Guild Wars, all of Arena offense and defense, and all of World Arena as well. So pretty much just a general tier list for all of PvP, not anything specific to like World Arena or RT or stuff like that. This is just pretty much all of PvP combined. So yes, we have 7 tiers. We're going to separate these units into the S tier, which is going to be very, very powerful, borderline OP or even OP units. The A tier, which means very, very strong units. You can still use these units in a lot of areas of content, just not as OP as the S tier units. The B tier units, these units are going to be very, very decent and very good, just won't be as game-breaking as the S tier units or even the A tier units. The C tier units, these units are going to be mostly for niche picks. You're going to pick them into certain team compositions or as a secondary option if you have a lot of units banned out or you just don't have a lot of units in your roster. Next, we have the cleave tier. These units are going to be used exclusively for cleave and they'll be very, very good there. Then we also have the counter picks tier. These units will be very, very strong in certain situations as long as there is a requirement that is fulfilled on the enemy side. And last but not least, I guess last and least, we have the don't use tier, which means you don't really want to use these units at all. But before we get into the specifics of this tier list, guys, I want to talk about a new amazing game on the App Store that you definitely are going to want to check out. If you guys are into games with visually stunning 3D realistic graphics and a unique gacha system that includes hybrid bloodlines and races, Bloodline Heroes of Lithis is the game for you. There's plenty of fun content in the game, including Guild Wars and creating legendary hybrid champions, as well as more RPG-like content where you can raise heirs with companions and waifus. The storyline is extremely interesting with beautiful artwork, and you can even customize your own kingdom and economy with strategic gameplay. Download Bloodline Heroes of Lithis now on either Android or iOS, and use my link in the description or my QR code to get a special starter pack worth $20 after signing up. For the next 7 days, the first 20 players who leave their in-game account name and username in my comment section below will receive a free legendary female orc champ, Ugrel, one of the best warriors to carry you in the game. Sign up today and start playing for free now. So looking at the tier list specifically, guys, we're going to talk about the units and just why they're in their specific tier. Now, first off, starting off in the S tier, guys, these units, like I said, very, very powerful. They're going to be extremely good in PvP and almost all forms of content. You're definitely going to want to build them as soon as you pull them. Leading off the S tier though, no surprise, we have Lua, this girl over here with the blue hair. She's extremely broken, very powerful opener. Pretty much not really a lot of safe ways to stop her currently besides like Celine or outspeeding her. If she takes the first turn, you're pretty much at a very, very high probability of losing, so you have to be very, very careful against her. She's also extremely popular on defense teams and is super highly contested in World Arena. Next, we have Laika, guys. This unit is extremely powerful as an opener as well. Very, very scary to fight against, especially in World Arena. She's super fast, and similar to Lua, if she takes the first turn, she can kind of one-shot your team with her S3, S2, so it's really, really scary because her utility is off the charts. Then next, we have Edward Elric. This unit is extremely strong as well. He is a very, very good answer to cleave, good answer to debuffers, very good to units that open with debuffs as well, and he scales very, very hard and is very, very tanky and annoying to deal with. Next, we have Shu, guys. This unit is a little rat. She is going to be on a lot of defense teams in Guild Wars and even Arena. Just a lot of RNG, and if you get unlucky against her, she can pretty much solo your team. So for that reason, she's also in the S tier. Next, we have Destina, guys. So Destina has definitely shaken up the meta after her buffs. Extremely powerful cleanser, anti-cleaver because she can revive now, and she has built-in extra, like I think 60% effect resist, making her super hard to control. For that reason, people are building literally like 250% effectiveness like AOLs and stuff like that and to like try to control her, but nowadays you can see like 300% effect resist like Destina's. It's just like back and forth, so this unit can kind of shut down control all by herself. And then next, rounding out the S tier, guys, we have Landy. So Landy, extremely powerful unit, extremely strong as a DPS unit for PvE, as you guys probably already know, but that also carries over into PvP. You just have to be careful against units that have strip, that can strip her guiding light, or even against Millims who can actually, just remove her stealth and one-shot her. I think some people might rate her a little bit lower, but I definitely feel like, especially for Guild Wars and for Arena, if you can pick her in the right situations, especially in Arena, she can carry you all the way up to champion if she's your only DPS unit, because she's so strong if you pick her into the right comp and can actually protect her well. Next, breaking into the A tier, guys. So starting off, we have pretty similar units here, Yulha and Crow, both very, very similar in how they work. They're going to be very good in Guild Wars offense because they can bait units that will attack them. So Crow can bait Earth units to attack him always, and Yulha can always bait Fire units, and then they just one-shot whatever unit they want with their S3. Yulha is very, very annoying to deal with. Same with Crow. I think Yulha is a little bit better in World Arena right now, definitely for sure, but I think Crow is a lot better in Guild Wars. Very similar though, very strong. Next, we have I Winter. So I Winter, probably the best unit out of the Espa collab units. She kind of shuts down Cleave by herself, and for that reason, she definitely deserves a spot in the A tier. She can solo stop Cleavers. She's also very good because she does a lot of damage as well. Next, we have Valencia, guys. Has an AoE strip, does a lot of damage, very bulky, has lifesteal now with their exclusive equipment. Extremely powerful unit. You can always pick her as a bruiser and it's pretty safe. Just be careful that, you don't expose yourself by picking like Landy and Valencia or like Destina and Valencia too early in World Arena, because fire units can really, really mess her up because she has to hit twice every turn with her S1. If you miss both, it feels really, really bad, right? Next, we have Senya, extremely annoying unit. She has AoE Provoke. If you run her on the Effectiveness Lifesteal build, it is super, super annoying to play against. Guild Wars defense, she's everywhere with Lua actually and Shu because they synergize very well together, even with Conqueror Ilias. For that reason, definitely an A tier unit. Next, we have Diane. She's definitely fallen off a bit, but I still think she's very good, especially for Guild Wars and Arena. World Arena is harder to pick her because she's way too slow right now. She gets hard countered by units like Landy and stuff like that. But if you pick her in the right situation against, not Landy and not Valencia, she can do very, very well. Next, we have Milim, guys. So I think Landy is so strong right now, and she's a very common pickup. Almost everyone has Landy, especially because she's like an extremely powerful PvE unit, right? So when new players start the game, I always recommend get Landy as your choice of limited if there's an event going on, because she's so good in PvE and PvP. For that reason, I think Milim's stock has risen a lot, especially in the mid tiers of PvP, because of the fact that Landy is pretty much everywhere. Not pretty much everywhere, but everyone has access to her. So Milim is the best counter to Landy. She can just literally delete her, and she can't even get revived anymore after Milim kills her because she has Extinction on her S3. Milim is also pretty good against certain Earth units. You can even pick her against Valencia. It's not that bad. So yeah, fire unit, bruiser, does a lot of damage, and pretty tanky with her evasion. So next, let's get into the B tier units. These units are still good. I would definitely still use these units, especially if your roster is a little bit lacking or there's a lot of bans coming out. But these units still good, but just a little bit harder to use. So Rimuru, still the one-shot king with his S3 if you can use it on a squishy unit. You just have to be wary that, against non-squishy units, you're not going to one-shot anymore. And his defense break, although very valuable, is kind of hard to stick now because there's so much cleansing. Violet, Guild Wars king, a lot of RNG, not a big fan. Zahak used to be extremely powerful because APOC Robbie was like god tier, but now she's kind of fallen off a bit. Still very good, and Zahak was the main answer to her. Honestly, that was free to play, but still, usable as a one-shotter in Guild Wars, even if APOC Robbie's not there. But there's just some better options right now. Emilia. So Emilia is probably still fine. You just need to have her really fast. Just keep in mind, we do have a mid coming out who's probably going to be a better Emilia, so she might even drop even more. Arya. Pretty fun unit to use. You can pick her in situations where the enemy doesn't really have any AoE reach to break your units out of stealth or even any strips. But for the most part, pretty hard to pick her because you kind of have to wait for the perfect situation. You also have to pick her into slower teams. Next, we have Rem, guys. So Rem, this might surprise some people. I have her a little bit higher up. But these units are going to be, like I said, strong in some situations, but for the most part, kind of mediocre. But Rem, you can still use her as a cleave answer. You can also use her just as a bruiser pick if you don't have that many bruisers. Just keep in mind she gets hard countered by Earth units. Like Landy kind of just takes a dump on her. Same with Valencia, so you have to be very, very careful, but still usable. And she always has that RNG factor, which makes her pretty good. C-tier units, we're not going to talk about these guys too specifically because of the fact that, they're just okay units. They're definitely usable in PvP, especially in like Guild Wars and Arena. And World Arena, it's really, really hard because, you have to draft very accordingly around these units, and it's kind of hard to do that sometimes, but these units are still usable. Cleave units, guys, pretty self-explanatory. If you guys want to cleave, these are your go-to units. Now, you guys might notice that Euphine has dropped a lot from before. I had her a lot higher, but nowadays, people don't really run her with Zeo anymore. It's really hard to pull it off. So for that reason, she's definitely fallen down a bit. Counter picks, guys, we can go very quickly over these. Rwana, very good against anything with a counter attack or dual attack. Celine, probably the best counter pick unit in the game right now. She's very good against Lua, like I said, and anything with non-attack skills. Politis is kind of a weaker version of that. She does more AoE damage, where Celine can just one-shot a unit, but still pretty decent. I Winter is also good against non-attack skills. Elena good against AoE cleave. Holiday Euphine can be used as a counter opener, although not as great. Keiron also a cleave counter. On Kisei also, a speed contesting unit that can do very well if you can go first because you can reset cooldowns. Now the rest of the units here in the don't use tier, honestly not really worth picking up. If they are good in one area of content, is probably very, very limited or very not important. But for the most part, you definitely want to stay away from these units. That being said, that's pretty much it for this tier list, guys. We're going to update it again in the future once the season comes around. But for now, this is what I'm looking at right now. And honestly, it's just my own opinion and what I've been seeing a lot, especially in around like high champion, emperor, RTA, and then like for guild wars, I think my guild was top 150. We've fallen off a bit, but still pretty good. But for the most part, nothing like too crazy. I think a lot of people would agree with most of this. And some of these units, I might have had a bad experience against or a bad day against and ranked a little bit higher, or maybe I just like crapped on a unit for a lot and then put that unit lower. But for the most part, I think this should be pretty accurate, and the general power level should be pretty similar to what I have them ranked at. That being said, hope this video helped you guys out. And if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you guys, check out my other videos and also hit that subscribe button to see more content in the future. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.